This is a Wissota S8B skate sharpener from 1977. It's no longer made anymore. Distinctive features in his identify it. There's a notch here in the side where the diamond goes to go through and adjust the radius of curvature. It rotates like this. There's a big knob on the back. This particular one actually says Foley on it because it was made by 4 Foley bell saw by Wissota, but it's got the distinctive red tag here, and this is actually a rebadged Wissota S8B. It does have the more modern cast iron base on it. There's a switch on and off, which is very convenient. The motor here, when you listen to it, you can hear the centrifugal clutch kick in and out. So there's a click noise. So it's got a start and run winding. The hub is a 1/2 inch like a modern unit. You can put a modern Wissota disc on here, which is only 7 inches in diameter. This particular one was made for 8. So I don't know if this is an available disc that's made with a 1/2 inch bore and 8. The one that came with this unit years ago had one here by Norton. This 8 inch diameter, 3/8 inch thickness, 1/2 inch bore. And if you Google this, there's some places that sell this, but it's not necessarily for skate sharpening, so I'm not sure. It's a little bit of more of an obscure stone to put on there. Of course, this is 3/8 inch thick. The one from Wissota today is 3/8 inch thick with a 7 inch diameter. And then if you take an 8 inch one for some other brands or whatever, skate sharpeners, you can get an adapter that's from 1 1/4 to 1/2 inch on eBay. I actually bought 4 of them here. The one I bought used had a disc on here like this. Then you can center this on like here. And these are actually made for grinding wheels. So you've got the clamp on here, so it doesn't really matter if the plastic, once this is tightened down, the plastic doesn't really have to be in there. It's just more of a self-centering thing. You can go ahead and not use a plastic, but then you have to kind of goof around to try to get it to balance. You can look at the edge here and make sure you got very little run out before you totally clamp it. Now, one thing here is that this is used by the other brands. This is 5/16 of an inch thick here on the edge. And then the Wissota one, when this machine was made, is 3/8 here. A little bit thicker. So you're going to have to go through and adjust the Z height on your holder when you sharpen skates. If you always used a disc this size, you could go through and move the motor up and down. Way down over here, there's a slot right here. And that motor actually has there's a big cap screw. And you can go through and move the whole unit, and I wouldn't do that unless you really kind of know sort of what you're doing or what your end goal is. So you could move this whole unit up and down with respect to the cast iron plate. If you got one that's goofed up, it could be that somebody messes with it. I don't think I've really seen that, but this cast iron plate has a slot in it. And this particular model, you can adjust the radius of curvature on it. And I'm going to probably do another video once I kind of make one that's a little bit more sensible about how you do that. Here's the piece that goes back and forth. So if you had a 7 inch disc and you put it on here, you've got an adjustment with this wheel. It moves this back and forth. There's a slot in here. And then you can also put this post to different positions. And the radius of curvature is from where the point of this appears to orbit, if that makes any sense. You project a line here from the bolt to here. And so when this is touching, if it tends to orbit 1/2 inch away from the tip, then that's a 1/2 inch radius of hollow, like through here. If you visualize this without the thing, if you put a little dot here, I did that where that tends to orbit about, that would be a 1/2 inch radius of hollow. The more modern unit, they have, I believe, the same diamond, but it's got a sticker on here, so you just adjust it back and forth. With this particular one, you could do that, but you're going to have to use a different mark because there's a pivot point here, then there's a pivot point here on the arm. There's two different places. So if you do this, it's going to be choked up in a different spot on the arm. Now down here are the breaker pieces you adjust in to kind of prevent crap from coming off and flying in. You kind of move these close as a protection in case this shattered or something like that. And if you go look online, I did find some of these, but it wasn't related to somebody doing skating and stuff. So maybe somebody's got a bunch of old stock on these. Maybe Wissota does, I don't know. But this is a 8-inch diameter, 3/8 inch thickness, half-inch bore. Norton makes a zillion different types of these things. But the question is, if it's not made in a lot of volume, you might pay a lot more. Of course, there's the stock one for the 911. And if you use this, you're probably only going to get down to about here, and you're going to run out of stone. If you kind of look where this projects, this is 7, this is 6, 5.5, you're just about to the edge. But because the way the top is on this, here's the top, you probably can go to where you're getting deeper into this pocket some. So the S8B has got this notch on the side, very distinctive. And then the older version that goes back to the 40s is called the S8, and it has I think a motor that's equal size to this, or maybe even smaller. And then it has, instead of a cast iron base, it's got kind of a platform with a piece of metal attached to it. It's got a lot more vibration on it. And those are almost museum pieces because they're so old. And in that one, you can't really adjust the radius of curvature. The minimum is kind of boxed in because of the way the mechanism is. I've got an older video about that. This one is more modern in the sense you can go through just the radius of hollow on here when I say radius of curvature. A little bit more pain in the butt than a more modern unit, but these last a long time, so if you got one at a dirt cheap price, it may be worth it to buy those. And a lot of these units use different Z heights, so if you want to buy a holder for this to sharpen skates, it's not necessarily the same. I believe the S8 is probably about the same as the S11, but you don't know if somebody's messed around and moved this motor up and down. It does have the nice cast iron frame here. That's about it. And then the next one, I'm going to probably try to figure out what the practical radius of curvature is with this gizmo.